Seasons of Prayer. As we step into this season of renewal, we bring you a month-long special encounter that will uplift your spirit and strengthen your soul. Whether you're seeking peace, guidance, or simply a deeper connection in faith, this is the perfect opportunity to come together in prayer and find inspiration in the midst of daily life issues. It's time to reflect, refuel, and reconnect. So, mark your calendars, gather your loved ones, and be part of something truly reviving. Seasons of Prayer is on 87.3 City FM this April. Stay tuned and let's pray together for brighter days ahead. It's from the 1st to the 30th of April 2025. Tune in to Midnight Cry from 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. This is your day from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. and Prayer Encounter from 12 noon to 1 p.m. Call 0244-981112 for more information. Let the power of prayer guide you this season. Seasons of Prayer is powered by 97.3 City FM.
Hello, very good morning to you. You're welcome to The Big Issue, your platform for incisive analysis and riveting conversation. My name is Selorm Adonoo. The show, as always, is live and interactive, and you can join us via our WhatsApp line on 0420-444-7033, 020-444-7033, or 0549-986-996. I will be happy to share your views with the rest of the world. There are two key issues we are looking at this morning. For the first time in our history, a Chief Justice has been suspended. That happened this week, and it's been in accord or pursuant to constitutional provisions. Article 146 generally deals with how Superior Court judges, including the Chief Justice, could be removed from office. As part of that provision, when a prima facie case is established against a Chief Justice, the President may suspend the Chief Justice, whilst a committee of 5 that will be set up by the President on the advice of the Council of State delve into the matters to see indeed if the Chief Justice is actually at fault. Now that process has been started, and so the Chief Justice is also being suspended. This has drawn many comments from many quarters. The GB has spoken, the MPP has spoken, other political parties have spoken. Today, we will look at what the key issues are. We'll look at the reactions. We will delve into the specific provision and see if anything could have been done otherwise. That is a major matter we are discussing today. In this week also, we saw some activity at the Tamale Teaching Hospital. The minister, upon news that a patient had died at the hospital, which generated a lot of uproar on social media, paid an unannounced visit to the facility. While there, he interacted with some of the medical practitioners there, including the head of the Accident and Emergency Unit. That interaction almost became an altercation. The doctors got angry and felt that one of their own had been attacked. In response, they suspended services for about 2 or 3 days. It had to take the Yana Abukari, the overlord of Dagbon, to intervene to get them back to work somewhat yesterday. They say they are still deliberating, but the Yana promised that if they are interested, you facilitate a meeting between the doctors and the minister. The doctors want an unqualified apology from the minister and also to supply them all consumables and equipment they need to get their work done properly. Indeed, the doctors had complained that they did not have consumables, they did not have some equipment, they did not even have water to work with, which made their work difficult, and they have just been improvising. So if they are improvising and an unfortunate incident of a death of a person happens, I think the general thinking amongst them is that the public should be a bit empathetic towards them as well, and the minister, who is their boss, should also understand the situations better rather than exposing them to ridicule. I don't know where you stand on this, but it has been a major discussion point also in the week. We will look at that also in some detail. I'll take a short break. When I return, I will provide you some updates, introduce my guest, and we'll get a discussion underway. Once again, this is The Big Issue. You are welcome.
Welcome. It's Play to Aid.
Get ready for the game show where every play has a purpose. Welcome to Play to Aid, the only game show where your knowledge and skill don't just win you prizes, they help change lives.
What sport is considered the most popular in the world?
Football. Every point you earn goes toward real-world support, from school supplies to health kits, clean water to emergency relief. Play smart, play big, Play to Aid. Catch all the action, the drama, and the heat.
Most commonly spoken language in Brazil.
Portuguese.
Play to Aid every Sunday at 3:30 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV.
Edna, let's begin.
The Play to Aid game show is proudly sponsored by Tang Palace, Giraffe Island, and VVIP.
Where politics meets power, where the tough questions are asked, welcome to Face to Face. Every Tuesday at 9 p.m., join Umaru Adonoo as he takes you face to face with the key players shaping the future of our nation.
I lost over $10 million at the trade fair.
You had a fight with the management of trade fair?
I don't have a fight with them. I just deplore the way they went about what they did.
Let's talk about the chief prosecutor of the state at the time that you were being prosecuted, Godfrey Adame, the Attorney General.
Yes. I think he was directed to jail us.
By who?
By the system.
Boko has been a failure for your government, though.
Can't be a failure.
You have not solved it.
No, you are not praising them, the previous government for solving Yendi, which was even a more difficult case.
It's quite obvious that from these votes, the people felt that let's just let you go.
So they were disappointed
in us.
You are essentially the worst government in the Fourth Republic.
I don't know how you are doing that. If you based on the indicators.
Yes, based on the number of people who refuse to come and vote for you.
If that is your analysis, then why not?
No filter, no boundaries, just the truth behind the headlines. Deep, bold, and unflinching. Face to Face with Umaru Adonoo airs on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV, where politics gets real.
This year, take the first step towards a deeper connection with God and one another. Join us for the Family Consecration Service, a powerful journey of faith, love, and renewal. In 2025, we are called to consecrate our homes, our hearts, and our lives.
The Lord is protecting you with His favor this morning in the name of Jesus. May the Lord favor your going out. May the Lord favor your coming in.
To dedicate ourselves and our families to the path of faith, grace, and unity. Through prayer and reflection and a shared devotion, the Family Consecration Service 2025 brings families closer together, strengthens bonds, and invites God's presence into every corner of our homes. It's on Thursday, 1st of May 2025 from 6 a.m. to 12 noon. The venue is the Oil Dome, Royal House Chapel International, Accra. There will be renewal of vows for married couples.
On this occasion, I'm asking you to forgive me for all the hits and pain I have caused you.
Join countless families around the world as we come together to consecrate our lives in the spirit of love and faith. A consecration for today and for generations to come. Make this year a new beginning. Family Consecration Service 2025 for the love of God and the love of family. Join us this year. Together, let's consecrate our families and our hearts.
You're welcome back. This is the big issue on 97.36 FM, of course, on Channel 1 television and also on our socials. Two key issues we're looking at this week. The Chief Justice of the Republic was suspended, first ever time this has happened under our Fourth Republican Constitution. And we're looking at the suspension and the matters that have arisen therefrom, give you an analysis of the key issues there. Also, the Tamale Teaching Hospital has been in the news. Some death occurred there. People were unhappy. People attributed that to medical negligence, even though it's still under investigation. The minister went to the facility and some interaction degenerated into some altercation. The doctors felt attacked by that, they say, and so they suspended their services for about 2 days. It had to take the Yana to intervene to get them back to work. We're looking at all of that. They've also made some demands. They want an unqualified apology from the minister and all equipment and consumables they need to enable them work supplied by the minister or the ministry. These are the two issues that will be engaging our attention this morning. But just to provide you some update, the President John Dramani Mahama has suspended the Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu following the establishment of a 5-member committee to investigate 3 separate petitions seeking her removal. Channel 1 News' Hansen Ajiman reports on the sequence of events that led to this significant development.
Calls for the removal of Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu gained momentum after the presidency confirmed receipt of 3 petitions demanding her dismissal. In a statement dated March 25, 2025, the presidency announced that it had initiated consultations with the Council of State to determine whether a prima facie case had been established in accordance with Article 146 of the Constitution, but the process packed legal challenges. 2 individuals, including Member of Parliament Vincent Ekwesafua, questioned the constitutionality of the move, as Afua filed a suit at the Supreme Court contending that the Chief Justice should have been allowed to respond to the allegations before the President commenced consultations with the Council of State. The case remains before the court, with multiple adjournments stalling the ruling on an interlocutory injunction filed by his counsel, former Attorney General Godfrey Yeboah-Damen. Meanwhile, March 28, 2025, Chief Justice Tokonu wrote to the President requesting copies of the petitions and a specific time frame to respond. The Presidency complied, granting her a 10-day window to present her defense. However, the President raised concerns over the leak of her letter to the media. By April 7, 2025, the Chief Justice had formally responded to all 3 petitions meeting the deadline. Following a review of her submissions and in continued consultation with the Council of State, President Mahama concluded that the prima facie case had been made. On April 22, 2025, Minister of State in charge of government communications confirmed that President Mahama had issued a formal warrant suspending the Chief Justice.
Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution, that is 146(10), also stipulates that when this is done, the President has power to suspend the Chief Justice pending the final determination of the matter. And that is exactly what President Mahama has done. So every step of the way, President Mahama has shown fidelity to the 1992 Constitution. He has gone strictly by the book and done things in the way that the Constitution specifically provides they should be done.
A 5-member committee has since been constituted to investigate the petitions. It includes Supreme Court Justices Gabriel Pullman and Samuel Esiedu, former Auditor General Daniel Yadomlevo, Major Flora Dalugu of the Ghana Armed Forces, and Professor James Jissa of the University of Ghana. In line with constitutional provisions, Justice Paul Bafuboni has been appointed acting Chief Justice pending the outcome of the investigation.
All right, so that was a report put together by my colleague Hansen Ajima, chronicling a sequence of events that led to the significant development of the suspension of the Chief Justice. My guest this morning, the Honorable Andy Appiah-Kubi, private legal practitioner, former member of Parliament for the Asante Akim North constituency. Justice Abdullahi, private legal practitioner. Professor Kojo Appiah-Etua, Professor of Law at the University of Ghana School of Law. Also, Abraham Amaliba, who is Executive Director of the National Road Safety Authority, and of course, the Director of Conflict Resolution of the NDC, a former Director of Legal Affairs of the National Democratic Congress. These are my guests this morning. But let me start off with you, Dr. Honorable Andy Appiah-Kubi. Good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, brother.
Yes. I mean, have you been surprised by the suspension of the CJ? Was this something you expected, given the turn of events?
Well, I know from the background that the government had such plans to frustrate the CJ. I knew that, and I knew it would happen once it started. You see, sometimes you need to question the propriety of the action taken as different from the constitutionality of the action. I would think that it was improper for the president to have embarked on that tangent, but I wouldn't fault him also for the path he has taken, because what the Constitution says is what he has done, pursuant to the petition. But that again goes to the root of the matter, the Constitution itself. You see, these are some of the constitutional flaws that need to be reviewed, given the opportunity now. So, and again, when I came in,
yes,
you had given the indication that this is the first time we are having such a constitutional crisis. Chief Justice Akokosa also experienced the same under the First Republic. But it is not a pleasant thing to have. And indeed, I would expect that the judiciary is our last century. So all of us, if we have difficulties, problems with governance or with politics or anything, it is the judiciary that speaks to show us the direction. So if we extend the hand of politics into the judiciary also, then it means we don't have a place to run to in times of difficulty, when constitutional or even human rights are impeached. You cannot have a sanctuary to run to. So it's a very dangerous, situation we have now. And I would have hoped that, the Council of State would have prevailed upon President to probably. You see, more so when you see the substance of the petition not as strong as one would expect. So I was very disappointed that the Council of State returned a verdict of a prima facie case. Looking at the petition, I don't think so. And in any case, if they are complaining about judgment of the Supreme Court, you see, in recent times, I went to the Supreme Court with a prayer. It was declined. And I was so disappointed it was declined. Subsequently, some very senior members of the bar called me and said that, yes, the line of argument was correct. The invocation of the appropriate laws were also correct, except that on the principle of directive principles of state policy, the state must survive. So you don't do things that will undermine the security of the state. And in any case, if, for example, the decision had come to me, the consequences thereof would have been untoward for the whole country.
For the state.
For the state. So, and I understand. For example, if you are to overturn the chieftain of an existing chief and say, no, you cannot be, let somebody else come. You see the uproar that it will come. So, well, I lost the argument because I lost the case, but upon sober reflection and upon consultation with very senior members, I understand that it will be better to sacrifice a personal interest than to sacrifice a communal interest. So, and sometimes you can't get the reasoning the way you expect. So, and I'm saying that the court may consider the consequences of a decision this way or that way. So we don't have to question so much. But again, in the court system, you have a right to even challenge the decision of the court. So the best way to do, not to write a petition for the removal of the Chief Justice, but rather you could go for a review if you are not happy with the decision of the court. Again, if we are saying that the decision is wrong, and for which reason somebody must lose his or her position, Chief Justice didn't give the decision all by herself. It was a panel of at least 5 Supreme Court judges. So if the decision is bad, for which reason somebody must be removed, then of course we should be canvassing the argument that all such persons who contributed to the decision must be removed. And is this the way we want to go, that anytime a decision comes and it doesn't favor one person, that person will have to write a petition to the president that because the decision didn't come my way, just remove the Chief Justice or remove the whole panel? How can we develop our judiciary if we begin to behave this way? So personally, it's a very sad situation, a very sad event unfolding. And I would have thought that the Council of State, members of the Council of State could have...
But that should tell you that perhaps they took the issues particularly very seriously, because the Council of State, a very important organ of our system,
yes, but
very eminent persons. Many
yeah,
of
that
whom
is
have
why
been
I'm so surprised.
Judges and have the benefit of adjudicating on matters.
That is why I'm so surprised. You see, this is a semblance of other jurisdictions where we have a second chamber. So they're supposed to act as the second chamber for us. So if something happens and we need to invoke their jurisdiction, we expect that they should complement that which the lower chamber would have done. But unfortunately, if we are all following the same...
But what would the lower chamber have done? I mean,
no,
the lower chamber, what would this lower chamber have done?
If it had gone to the lower chamber, and the lower chamber had even voted that there's a prima facie, there's a second opportunity for the upper chamber to also decide and say, look, looking at circumstances. And again, we are setting a very bad precedent in Ghana and in West Africa. You see, it affects investor confidence also. So we have to look at the totality of the outcomes before we come to a decision like this. So my disappointment is in the way that the decision came, and looking at the issues raised in the petition. I would have thought that this was not grievous enough to warrant the removal of the Chief Justice.
I see. Let me speak to Professor Kojo Epejito, Professor of Law, University of Ghana School of Law. Hello, Prof. Good morning. Welcome to the big issue. I mean, your colleague.
No, it's not a colleague.
I mean, your professor. I mean, your student.
Yes.
Your former student
yes.
Says he is surprised or he is shocked
yes.
at the decision of
the excitement of meeting him is one of the reasons that I keep this.
Oh, I see. Then, Prof, that's a good one there. Thanks so much. Said he's surprised or shocked at the outcome or the verdict of the Council of State's consultation with the president. He felt perhaps it could have been different. Were you surprised that the president came up with this particular decision, establishing a prima facie case and subsequently suspending the CJ? Hello, Prof. You may want to unmute. You may want to unmute, Prof.
I've unmuted.
Hello, Professor Kojo Apejetua.
I am unmuted.
Okay, great. Now we can hear you. We can hear you now. Good, good, good.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much. Did you hear my question?
No. Yes, I
Okay,
heard.
very good.
And very good morning to you, Prof.
Your student extends his greetings to you.
And good morning to you, Honorable.
Thank you, Prof.
It's been a long while.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you. My answer to the question is that I'm not too surprised about the decision by the president or the turn of events, because the president is acting based on the dictates and tenets of the Constitution. And as was rightly said by Mr. Andy Apiakubi, the Constitution is loose. It has some loopholes, which therefore makes it very easy and possible for the process to move as to where it has gone to so far. And so, looking at the fact that it's also mandatory on the president, he's sort of bound to take those steps after one issue has been cleared, then the likelihood was strong that this is where things were going to turn up to. And so I'm not too surprised about where things have gone to.
Many people think that there is the hand of politics in this, and indeed, Andy Apiakubi alluded to that. Do you also share the view that the hand of politics might have extended itself into this matter, even though the Constitution is quite clear on what steps the president is to take?
Well, first of all, I think we need to understand that politics is present in almost everything we do. Even in our own homes, politics has a role to play there. And so we cannot completely divorce politics from the decision taking. But the question is, to what degree is the decision influenced by the particular party in government to achieve a political end? Or is it for the sake of ensuring that there are some stumbling blocks to the quality of delivery of justice, and so the steps taken are to remove those barriers and ensure that quality of justice is improved, and it also enhances our democratic credentials as a state. But I think the politics part, which we have seen so far, has degenerated to a certain level, which is not or does not augur well for to ensure that people would even accept the processes that are ongoing and to accept the final decision and outcome. And secondly, whether it may also lead to a politicization of further deepening the political divide that we have in the country. And that is where the worry is. But definitely there is a little bit of politics into it. It's normal, it's as usual. Yes, but definitely there is a little bit of politics into it. It's normal, it's as usual. It has gone to a level we need to be able to ensure that we allow the system to work and we don't interfere so much and criticize so much, but allow the system to work because it is as dictated to by the Constitution. You cannot fault what the Constitution has said. But what we are saying is that the Constitution itself is faulty when it comes to issues regarding the appointment of the Chief Justice, as well as the removal of the Chief Justice.
How do you mean by the Constitution itself is faulty? Of course, many people have spoken variously about the Constitution. Of course, there's a process to remove the president. People think it is tighter. There's a process to remove the Speaker of Parliament, the other two arms of government, quite tight, 3/4 and then 2/3 in both cases. But in the case of the Chief Justice, you don't involve Parliament. A petition is needed, and the steps have been detailed. How weak is that? I mean, you think that the matter should have been, or Parliament should have had a say in this? You know, how weak is it, and how do you think it could have been done?
there are a number of weaknesses. For example, the whole process seems to be opaque. Transparency is lacking in the process. And so you receive a petition, and it could be just one petition. The party against whom the petition has been raised may not know the contents and to have the opportunity to react to that until the yes, that option wouldn't have been available to the Chief Justice. So that is one major weakness with that process for removing the Chief Justice from office. I think number two will be the role of the Council of State. The Council of State, as we know, is not as independent as one would have expected it to be. And added to that is that other layer of the fact that is the consultation done by the president, is it is advised that the end comes out of the consultation is not binding on the president. So it is a mere formality, a mere procedure that needs to be followed, and that's it. So here, one would have expected that if you look at the process for removal of office of other justices of the Supreme Court, the process is tighter because, among others, it involves the Judicial Council. Yes. And we all know that the Judicial Council is more representative. And it's also of the Supreme Court. The process is tighter because, among others, it involves the Judicial Council is more representative. And so that's close. Even in the case of Nigeria and India, the advice given by the Judicial Council is binding, or to a very large extent is binding until the president has given some solid reason to justify why it should not. But here we don't have that with the Council of State coming in. And then the appointment of the committee. We don't doubt the fairness of the president. That is not the point being made here. But the Constitution as a whole gives too much power to the president to appoint this here and that there and so on. This committee is appointed by the president. And so if initially there is some fear of bias from the president, and there's that political bias coming in there, the appointment of the committee by the president will also be tainted with that perception of a bias or the fact that the process has been politicized. I think that the president should not have the power to appoint. It's not to say that without the credibility of those that the president has appointed now, but the fact that the president does so, even if he does it with all the integrity and honesty and no bias in the process, there's that still there will be that concern about the nature of the composition of the committee and therefore the outcome that it will come to. Then we can also talk about the fact that there is no appeal process for, in this case, the Chief Justice. In the case of Kenya, for example, the Chief Justice can appeal the decision by the committee. And even in that committee, the composition is not purely at the discretion of the president. It involves somehow the Judicial Committee, the Judicial Council, and that the name given it has a judiciary in it. So it's similar to the Judicial Council determining the case against the Chief Justice. And there's also the possibility of appealing that decision. So these are some of the weaknesses which you can say are embedded in the constitutional process for the removal of the Chief Justice.
I see. Quite interesting. Just kindly hang in there for me. I know you have to go, but kindly hang in there for me. He's made quite a number of points. You shared the point, the view that, of course, you did also say that the Constitution is weak. He's outlined a number of things: the transparency, role of the Council of State, appointment of the committee, appeal process, etc. The issue about transparency lacking in the process. Can't we reason with the framers of the Constitution that they meant to protect the office of the Chief Justice? That's why they didn't think that it was useful to put out their allegations.
It's rather the case. If they wanted to protect the office, it would have been more stringent. But the way it is very easy for anybody at all to generate the petition. And indeed, we have to understand the weaknesses in the Constitution because of the era that the Constitution and what Ghanaians were looking for at the time. Because at the time, we were fed up with military rule. So anything different from what we had was seen
accepted
as
good,
better, or seen as we getting freedom from militarism. So we did not pay, attention to the drafting of the Constitution because we thought that anything was good. So all these flaws passed through the referendum. But in fact, if we had been diligent enough, we should have realized some of this, and indeed we should have had opportunity to compare our Constitution with others. As Prof was saying, in Kenya there must be an appeal system. There is an appeal system. And indeed, how would you take decisions about a Chief Justice without recourse to the Judicial Council? The Judicial Council is the body that, supervises the whole judicial system. And they also monitor the judicial wings. And it is the council that is representative enough of society and people within the law.
Is the thinking not that the Council of State is higher? So
yeah, but the Council of State could be higher by way of the hierarchy. But in the industry that we are all seeking to affect, the highest body in the industry is the Judicial Council. And how would you take decisions like this, particularly affecting a sitting Chief Justice, and the presiding council will not be involved in the matter? And you see, we play into the hands of politicians to affect even what happens in another wing of government without giving that wing opportunity to, affect the decision. That cannot be right. But again, it is because of the Constitution. I'm happy that Prof is also pointing out some limitations in the Constitution. And like I'm saying, it was because of the time that the Constitution was drafted. At the time, we thought anything different from the military rule was better, and we didn't pay attention. So we're getting all this. And we are happy that now we have the opportunity to affect it. Let it be seen to be a holistic review of the Constitution. In fact, Prof says something, and I want to agree with him, that constitutionalism, as they taught us in law faculty, is about how to distribute power effectively and judiciously. But our Constitution rather seeks to consolidate power in one person's hand, which is totally different from the expectations of that concept of constitutionalism. And you see, when it happens like that, then the president more or less becomes the supervising office of the judiciary. But what happened to the separation of powers then? And like Prof pointed out, even to remove the Speaker of Parliament, look at the steps you have to go through. And the institution, Parliament itself, is given the opportunity to also make an input. But what happened to the judiciary? We play into the hands of a president. We have to be careful with executive presidency, because it is not always the case that you will get a president that will be presidential. There are times that you get a president that will operate outside the realms of even good governance. So
I'm still on this issue about transparency and the in-camera nature of the proceedings. The president takes the petition, which shouldn't be made public, together with the Council of State, makes a determination of prima facie. Is it not the case that because of the nature of that office, you want to protect it? So petitions will come. Some may be frivolous. Some may say things which they can not even substantiate. But if those things had gone out, they would have, even though not true, they could, or they would have the potential of tainting or tarnishing the image of the Chief Justice. So the President and the Council of State will deal with it at that level. If there's no merit in it, they dismiss it and nobody hears of anything.
Yes.
You know,
I agree with the in-camera
yes.
hearing.
Mm-hmm.
But what I don't agree with is the constitution of the Council of State. And you remember, some of the members are appointed by the same president.
And some are voted for.
And some are voted for.
And some are from institutions.
And our normal, some are from institutions. But in our normal scheme of things, you know that once we have a president, he presides over everything, especially in the executive presidency. And that even people who are coming from various institutions, the hand of politics goes in there.
So what are you saying? You're saying that once the president
nominates some people
yes.
to
So once it goes
those people will think in support of the president.
Yeah, but now do we know what the president wants? Because the Constitution says if the petition comes, forward it to the Council of State.
Before even we had the election, we all knew the situation, the bad blood between the president and the judicial system. There were a lot of complaints about judicial decisions. Even during the campaign, they made mention of possible attacks on the judiciary. They said reset the judiciary because the decisions were not favoring them. And indeed...
But indeed, Kandapa, who was National Security Minister, no meaner minister, National Security Minister, had cause to suggest to the judiciary that the so-called unanimous FC was becoming a problem, so if they could balance it a bit. So that reflected the general thinking of the society. And he was coming from a security point of view.
Unfortunately for Honorable Minister Kandapa, he is not legally trained. So
he was looking at things from a pragmatic point of view and from a security point of view.
I have discussed possibilities in judicial decision making, and indeed I talk about directive principle of state policy, which may be difficult for Kant to understand and appreciate holistically. And some of the things, when you go to court and the decisions or the arguments are coming, sometimes if you are not trained as a lawyer, you may find it difficult to understand the lines of argument, the cases that they are invoking, and the authorities that they are invoking, the principles of law that come from the cases they are invoking. You see, so it is not easy like that for somebody outside the judicial system to just say that I am unhappy with 7-0. Personally, those cases that brought 7-0 verdicts, I personally saw that
you were 7-0 indeed.
They expected the 7-0s. But on the case of the Afenyo marking application, that one, somehow I did not agree with the way it went, because I would have thought that at the time that application went, there was no pronouncement upon which the application was filed. So I would have thought that the application was earlier in time to the decision.
It was premature.
Or decision of the Speaker. So if I was there, I would have said that dismiss this application because it's incompetent. But they could still have refiled it. But again, like we discussed about directive principle of state policy, we knew that at the time, the constitutional confusion in the country. So the judiciary may have taken that into consideration. And in any case, the interpretation put on the article of the Constitution in 2020 in respect of crossing carpet was wrong. So by Professor Okwe, it was totally wrong. So I think the Supreme Court also thought that they had opportunity to correct the wrongful interpretation in 2020. So they may have been in a hurry to bring out the new direction, which will also get all of us to conform in a constitutional situation where there was so much uncertainty. And you remember those times Parliament would not even sit because these people thought that they were in majority. Those others said that they were, and the constitutional confusion required that the Supreme Court had to speak. But if I was part of the team, I would have thought that yes, you need to speak, but speak through the appropriate channel and let the procedure be clean before. Because when the speaker had not made the declaration and the application was filed, I thought that it was too early in the day. So let the speaker finish. And there's a case of Kwachi versus Attorney General. And the Kwachi versus Attorney General literally says that Supreme Court will not make a decision in a vacuum. Because there must be a an occurrence for which you invoke the interpretive mandate of the Supreme Court. But if it hadn't happened, and you speculatively file an application, you understand? So those ones, but again, balancing the expectation at the time, the constitutional situation we had, and also the wrongfulness of the previous interpretation, and the mandate of the Supreme Court to show us the way. I would have thought that it would fizzle out. We won't complain too much about that process. So I'm sure the Supreme Court took into consideration the situation at the time, and they gave the reasoning. In that case, if they had filed it in right time, that would be the same reasoning anyway, and that would be the same decision, and I wouldn't fault it. My only problem was the procedure that I complained about. Nevertheless, this Supreme Court decision that is infuriating the president and or whoever filed the petition, it is not a decision of one person. It is a decision of the full court.
No, there were a number of allegations.
Yes.
Not just one. So
yes, a number of allegations about the administrative default that they complained about. Have we really checked the service condition of the Chief Justice? Has she flouted any of the provisions under a service contract? And it is not only this Chief Justice who would have taken advantage of the Article 71 service conditions.
But you know that if I mean, assuming it was wrong, if it was done in the past and nothing was said about it, it doesn't mean that we should continue
what we need to do probably will be to then amend the service conditions of our Chief Justices.
But you see, it's curious to me that on the Council of State, it's a former Chief Justice who should know about that provision. I have not seen that policy. We're trying to get it, but I have not seen that policy. So the former Chief Justice on the committee, or the Council of State and the Judicial Committee for that matter, should have known about that provision.
Yeah, that's why
should be able to say
she dissented.
No, but I hear she dissented just in respect of one of the petitions. We don't have that for a fact, but we hear she dissented just in respect of one of the petitions. And so if she and it shouldn't be difficult to show that no, this is the policy.
Yes.
This is ABC, and that's what she has done. So there's nothing wrong with it. Dismissing that point entirely. But if we don't see that.
A group of 31 members, she alone cannot affect the decision. And assuming, and we all knew how people were even elected into a Council of State. Do you remember what happened in Kumasi? And somebody got re-elected.
But that election didn't conclude.
Yes, but I mean,
but that was just one out of many.
Do you think that is
that was just one out of many?
The same situation happened in many places. So this Council of State, as Prof was saying, cannot be independent. And you see, it is more skewed towards a political party.
But you see, the difficulty I have there is that, of course, people are aligned in one way or the other.
Also, when the president also nominates people to add up.
Yes, but I'm saying that there's a reason why we have the Council of State. We expect that given their background,
neutrality,
given their background and experience,
yes,
they'll be able to see things differently. And they'll be able to tell the president, no, we don't think this is appropriate. We think it should be done this way.
But unfortunately, this is not the situation.
No, but so why are we saying that in respect of this, that is not the situation? Maybe on the totality of the evidence and everything they know, they feel this is the right way to go. And placing, so, I mean, why won't we accord them with a certain consideration of the national interest?
It's a decision that they have taken, and they have discharged their constitutional responsibility. Who am I to question it? But I have a right to disagree,
of course,
which
yes.
I do.
Yes.
And if this is the decision, and for all you know, people who are reading through decisions coming from such constitutional institutions are putting value on their decisions, and by extension, also putting value on the competence of such state institutions. So we have to be careful when we have opportunity to make decisions, to be able to make sustainable decisions. But if, on the other hand, and you are leaving a legacy, posterity will refer to all these things. You remember we discussed Seaku Koksa just a little while ago. So posterity will refer to what is happening now within our constitutional era. So all of us, we have to be very careful when we have opportunity to make decisions.
I see. Prof, I want to take you up on the Council of State matter again, because, I mean, again, these are eminent people. Can't we trust that these eminent people will put the national interest above all other interests they may have and come up with a good decision or a good verdict, or come up... Say that again.
It is our prayer.
It's our prayer. But
they do so.
Yes, and because they are human beings.
Yes.
And no matter what kinds of people you put on a particular committee, they may have some other interest. But our prayer or expectation every time is that they will put all these other interests aside and deal with matters in the national interest. So why are we not so why are we not so happy about the Council of State as it is and this decision it has come up with, or its advice in this sense?
Well, the Council of State, excuse me, if you look at the origins of it, it looks as if it was brought in as a means of incorporating some aspects of our traditional political systems into modern democracy. But if you look at the powers and the role that the Council of State or Council of Advisors will play or did play and play in our traditional democratic system, that is not the same as we have it today. We may have people of integrity and so on, but the political bias is still there, and their independence cannot be guaranteed as such. If you recall, when we did the recent elections, we saw in some places some of the political interferences by both parties, the major political parties, which occurred. And that speaks volumes about the nature of the Council of States. And secondly, as I said earlier, their decisions are not binding. If you look at the traditional political system, the king or chief cannot override the decision of the Council of States. And so it means that I agree with the view that the council should be abolished completely. But even if it is not, their powers should be increased, and there should be measures put in place to ensure the neutrality of the composition, so that when they give a decision or advice, it should be as binding as possible. Otherwise, what is the importance of it? It's just a charade that needs to be done away with.
Seeing the petitions, at least those ones leaked to the media, I can't sit in here confirm whether indeed they were the petitions or not. But granted that they are the petitions, have you seen them? And do you think that the allegations in there are enough to ground a prima facie case?
Well, in the first place, I've not taken serious notice of these petitions that have been flying about in the newspapers and on the social media and so on, because I think they violate the rules about how these petitions should be held or should be the process involved. They should not be made available to the public. And so at this point, you cannot vouch the content of it. And number two, this, if it is the case, this is what the committee is going to use as a basis to determine whether the Chief Justice should remain in office or not. And so in that sense, it has fallen into the realm of a decision which is about to be made by whether a quasi-judicial body or however I want to call it. So in that sense, it will not be appropriate to give specific prejudgment, if you like, of what is likely to happen. So I will not want to go into the content of those petitions and the responses by the Chief Justice as the media, some media houses are putting it.
Very well. So I'll come back to you again on the reactions you have seen so far. Abraham Maliba, the Director General of the, is it Director General or Executive Secretary?
Director General.
Director General of the National Road Safety Authority is joining us. Of course, he's also the Director of...
He's also a student
of conflict resolution, the NDC, yes. And of course, a student of Professor Kojo. Your students are in my class.
Yeah.
Not my class, in my studio.
No, we are still in his class.
Yeah. I see. Were you surprised about the outcome of the consultation between the President and the Council of State in respect of the founding of a prima facie case against the Chief Justice? Were you surprised?
No, so far the processes have gone in accordance with the provision, Article 146. And nobody can fault, at this point, any processes. Because even the good old Samokuyeto has admitted that so far, nothing untoward has happened in terms of following the procedure, yes.
So the procedure,
so
yes.
the procedure is right, everything is on course, but the MPP is engaged in what I'll call legal sophistry, trying to, as it were, bring about things which are not connected to this. Now, if you hear a lawyer focusing on the spirit of the law and not the letter of the law, he's lost his case. He has no case. That's why he's always, can you see spirit?
No, but the spirit of the law is important.
It's also important. But first, you deal with the letter, and encapsulated in that letter is the spirit. But you don't separate them. You know? Now, the point is this. If it were political, and the Chief Justice has no baggage in her cupboard, NDC couldn't have done anything. But we have all seen the allegations. He says that, and I was listening into the discussions, he says that, because you raised the issue of the traveling expenses. And he said that, then we could just have said that she should. No, he said something, which means that
it was in line with the policy. It was in line with the policy. Then it should be amended if it's not
amended or something.
If it's not appropriate.
If we are not happy,
if we are not happy with it,
amend it.
Rather than punish somebody.
Yes. Punish somebody. And that's where I cringed. And I said that, did Laureate Lamte have the opportunity to pay back the hotel bills and continue to stay there?
But he didn't say she pay, but he said amend it if we are not happy with it.
No. Once you have broken the law, you've broken the law.
Yeah, but what law?
Opportunity should not be given to you.
Yes,
to
but
do
we
those things that
need to establish
about.
this. We need to establish whether indeed the judicial policy allows or allowed her to
the
do
policy
that.
is this: when you are official trip, you can go with your
spouse or anybody of your choice.
But if it is private, you go with your bodyguard. She changed it and went on private with her family. That's the problem. But you see, is it enough grounds to remove her? That's what she's saying. That's what he's saying. And I said that this is not the first time Article 146 has been activated. It may be the first time it is activated in respect of a Chief Justice, but not the first time at all. Because others too face similar consequences. Laureate Lamte, could she have been told, refund the money, the hotel bills, and move into a private residence? She could have also been told that way. Charlotte said, could she have been told that, and even in the Procurement Act, there's even opportunity
to ratify.
We didn't give her that opportunity. So this is not a time to be giving people opportunity. I think the stakes are high for people at that level.
Do I get the impression that the CJ must leave at all costs?
I get the impression that there are people.
In fact, during an audit session,
there are opportunities to respond to the audit findings.
Yes, administrative advice.
Okay.
So it's also possible that even where you find some infractions, the audit report may advise that this be corrected. Not necessarily.
You see, I am of the view that she has not performed to the satisfaction of the people of this country. How come that even as at yesterday or 2 days ago, petitions were still coming? How come?
But you have opened the floodgates.
No, but this is the first time we are seeing in some other cases just like two.
We hear some two petitions have come.
More petitions.
I mean, 2 more petitions
and
have been forwarded.
And then the Info Analytics also says that about 58% of Ghanaians or 50-something Ghanaians want her to go. This is too huge. At the moment, she is out of office for 3 days now. I don't think the judicial has collapsed. Those who are saying that democracy is under attack, which democracy is under attack? How can one person who is under investigation, or let's say that, is democracy? No.
But Abraham, I mean, listening to you and a few others, it does appear that the CJ surely must go.
By
so
who?
we must find.
The NDC has not filed any petition.
Yes.
Tell me which.
No, NDC has not filed any petition as far as we know.
So
but
people,
we of course, the funding of the prima facie case is heavily dependent on the president and what he makes of the council from the Council of State. So the president is of the view that this CJ has not performed to my satisfaction, has not dealt with my side of the divide well, and so yes, this prima facie case is well grounded. She must go, and so she will go.
How many members do we have? 31.
Yes.
You've insulted all of them. That
no, I've not.
That the president has railroad the process.
The president consults them.
Look at the kind of people who are there, and you are saying this.
The president consults them.
Yes.
The president consults them, but the consultation
Didn't one of his appointees?
Is it binding?
Are we not told that one of the president's appointees abstained?
Was it the president's appointee?
Or even
an institutional
institutional, yes, has abstained.
In respect of one of the petitions.
One of the petitions, yes. So it tells you that if there
were that abstention, if it's true, is very huge.
That abstention, if it is true,
and very rich.
If it is true, simply means that
it's a statement.
Simply means that the council is independent. That even people can look the president in the face and abstain. That's why it shows you. So it also shows that the flip side is that the situation of the Chief Justice is so bad that they couldn't have done anything about it. That's what it also means. Yeah.
I see. The guest before you came, of course, he spoke about, you've spoken about the procedure being right and the spirit and all of that.
But I had also confirmed
yes,
that procedurally,
yes, it was right. But he made the point that, I mean, he was questioning the propriety other than the constitutionality. Maybe that's where the spirit comes in. Does it mean that everything that the law says should be like this? Then it means we must take it hook, line, and sinker, even though there could be some other ramifications.
Do you know that constitutions grow through interpretation? That's where we invoke the spirit.
Do you know that the framers of this constitution envisage citizens' participation? And if you look at Article 146, that is where you can see citizen participation. It's one of the areas. Now, if a petition comes from a citizen of this country, what you are telling me on this table is that the president should ignore it.
No, not necessarily.
That is it.
The president
Else,
doesn't
how
have to
were we going to deal with this matter? There are petitions that have come, and the presidents have looked into it, and it has failed. This same president invoked Article 146 to remove an NDC appointee, Loretta Lamte. And the interesting thing is that those who pursued that woman were MPP people.
How do you know?
Well, I know, don't pray.
I know, don't pray. They were the petitioners.
They were MPP people.
So these people who are petitioning, are they not the NDC?
We'll see them later. Now, if at the time the president was exercising Article 146 to remove her, they didn't have problems. They didn't see it. They didn't see that the president was going wrong, but now they are finding faults. How do we explain that? So that's why I'm saying that they are engaged in legal sophistry. You know, a sorcerer.
I don't know if it could be. One of the issues has to do with the suggestion the CJ made to the president to nominate some 5 persons or so to the Supreme Court. Of course, that was the fulcrum of Professor Azai's petition that was dismissed by the former president on January 6th or so before he left office. We've seen that surface again. How grievous is it for a Chief Justice to make a suggestion to the president
happy
that these persons I've worked with
are good
enough to ascend
to
the
Supreme Court?
Your choice
of word, suggestion. When did it become criminal for you to make a suggestion of any kind to persons vested with mandate to make decisions? When did it become? And in any case, the same constitution says that even the decision of the Council of State served on the president is not mandatory. And so that could also qualify as suggestion. So why would you fault somebody who is the helm of affairs in the judiciary suggesting to a president that we are short of members of, or we are being overwhelmed with work as a judiciary, and therefore let's have more members come in. And in any case, it remained a suggestion. If the president didn't want to take it, if the president didn't want to do it, he would have ignored it. Do you know how many suggestions go to President Mahama even in a day? So many of them. But he is not under any obligation to even take them and use them in his normal scheme of work. So I don't think that it is proven anywhere that a suggestion will become criminal of a kind for that suggestion to merit a removal of a Chief Justice. So I totally disagree that it must be a subject of a petition. Because if you suggest something, we came here, before we started, we made some suggestions even about the studio. Does it mean that you are under obligation to fix what I told you about? No. So it is a contribution to your decision making, and you have a right to either take or refuse. So I don't see how that becomes a subject of a petition. So I think that is very frivolous. I'm disappointed that Prof would use that as a source of his petition. I'm very disappointed.
I think it's a serious matter. He didn't just suggest. She actually provided names.
Yes, he suggested names to
the names, yes. So it is different when you say manpower is low, we want more manpower. But to identify people to be appointed as judges, is it within your mandate? Because first, that is not within your mandate. And secondly, you are overstepping that mandate by even providing names. That is where that's where the misconduct comes. The misconduct is that we have never seen in the appointment of judges that the Chief Justice is involved. Now, if you are suggesting, what made it worse was the writing, putting it in paper, making it official. It's wrong. And I think that...
She said she was asked by the president to put it in writing.
To defend the suggestion.
To defend the suggestion. If you say we need 5 more judges, I mean, defend it. So that's where she went. She got some data, X number of cases, year by year. This is how cases have increased, the number of judges on the Supreme Court.
So how did she come by those names?
Etc.
How did she come by those names?
No, but there are people she works with. If I work with you and you think I'm good enough, and you
is it not the president who does that and appoint and name the people?
So your view
what role has she got to play with that?
Your view is that she could have just said we need 5 more judges. Then the president will go through the process.
You don't know the conversation that went on between the president.
It is even wrong. That means the president.
And the president may have told her that you have some qualified hands.
So the president.
But should the president do that, or the president must?
No, the president will have to take a decision like that. And in taking the decision, he has a right to consult anybody. Assuming I happened to bump into the president and he said, "Andy, you have been in practice. I need to appoint 5 Supreme Court judges more." He could ask me from the Court of Appeal, and in your interaction or engagement with them, who would you think that would better qualify to be considered for appointment as a Supreme Court judge? And I said, Maliba, who is my friend, take him. So it doesn't mean that you are not going to nominate me to any authority if you are giving opportunity.
No, he'll mention him for his board.
No.
That is more within
my friend.
That's more within his purview. He'll mention your name to be on his board. The Road Safety Authority board.
And you know that I'm also interested in road safety. Is it the case that given the opportunity to select people onto the road safety committee, he is not even going to consider me because of my political inclination?
No,
is that the case?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that did she have the right to even suggest?
No, but if the president, for example, asked, I don't think the president.
So if it is the president,
because it did appear that she went to the president with a suggestion, and the president asked her to defend it.
If my friend went to president and said, "I want Andy on my board," would that warrant a removal?
No, you see, I'm not sure there's a way the law prescribed that for that to be done. In the case of the appointment of judges,
it remains a suggestion.
Yes, the constitution or the laws are clear about how it should be.
I'm saying that if my friend put my name down to show to president that I want Andy on my board, and he may have seen something that he thinks I can do.
Agreed. But in the case of the Chief Justice, there's a prescription. She doesn't fall in there.
Look,
That's what we are saying.
What would be your offense if you nominated me?
In my case, there's no prescription. But in her case, there's a prescription, and she's not part of it. So in this one, I agree. It's the president who has dug a hole and she's falling inside. Is that not it? Akufo-Addo did that.
So he's not allowed to consult also in his
it's wrong. She's not part of it.
No, but
she's not part of the negotiation. I say negotiation, consultation to appoint judges. She's not part of it.
So if he consulted me, would I also be deemed to be doing something wrong?
If Akufo-Addo consults you?
Yes.
No, but we don't know whether the consultation could have, but it did appear that she went.
No, consultation is at large.
It could be either way.
Consulted anybody, including him. So if Akufo-Addo consulted you to mention names, and you mentioned him, would you also be cited?
Which you know that it will never happen. But let's assume that it happens. I'm not a chief justice, so. I'm not a chief justice.
And you know
so this consultation is outside the mandate of
the strictures of the
structure. And all presidents do that. But where the structure is there, and then you ask somebody who is in office to suggest names to you.
But who better?
That is wrong.
Who better?
That for me is wrong.
The person is supervising over the institution, and he knows everybody.
She has overreached her responsibilities. That's what I'm saying.
Let me take Prof's view on this. Prof, is this such a serious matter? The Chief Justice suggesting to the President, or the Chief Justice comment to the President, or suggesting to the President?
Two of your students are struggling
to appoint or nominate some persons to the bench. Did she overreach, or it was just? It's normal.
I don't think it's actually overreach, but I rather describe it as surrendering the independence of the judiciary to the president or to the executive, because there are clear laid down rules, and what the Chief Justice did in that respect was to succumb to the executive, and the fact that she suggested names, that makes it even worse. So I don't think it's a mere question of suggestion. I think it's lowered the independence of the judiciary, and the fact that they should all be seen as operating at the same level, lower to that of the executive by so doing. And so I think, to me, it's an infraction that needs to be considered as critical.
So an infraction that is strong enough to ground a prima facie case, that alone.
A suggestion.
It's possible, but I won't conclude that is definite. But as you know, there are other issues that were raised, and the Council of State will put all of this together. So we cannot conclude that it's based on that particular petition.
So what I'm saying is, if that was, for example, the only point raised in the petition, would that have been big enough to ground a prima facie case against her?
I'm not sure it will be strong enough, because let's take it seriously. The position of the Chief Justice is very, very important in consolidating our democracy and ensuring that there is a fair balance between the three arms of government. So the separation of powers here should not easily be toyed with. The Chief Justice may have made a mistake in that respect, but I don't think that alone would have been enough grounds to suggest so. And so I think that there should be other factors that probably should come together. If there had been other infractions previously, or she was advised and she didn't take it and so on, then that would have given a stronger basis to come to that conclusion. And I think that is where the element of the powers, looking at the Constitution, the letter of the Constitution and the spirit of the Constitution comes in, because Ms. Amaliba said that you have to look first at the letter of the law, and then encapsulated in it is the spirit of the law. I'm not sure I would look at it that way. Of course, if you are looking at interpretation, the first rule is that you look at the law as it is, the content as it is, to make a decision. But if that is not clear, then you look at the spirit of it, and you look at whether you want to adopt the purposive approach and so on. But I think that the spirit of the law is very important. And looking at the Article 146 that has raised all this furore, I think that we should look at it in the broader context of the independence of the judiciary. So to what extent does Article 146 protect the independence of the judiciary? I say that right from the beginning, the framers of the Constitution jeopardized the independence of the Constitution by framing the process of appointment of the Chief Justice and the process of removal of the Chief Justice from office as lowering the judiciary independence and placing it under the executive. And that is very unfortunate. So for that matter, I think that is why I'm saying that on the one hand, the law is clear that whatever the president has done is not unconstitutional. However, the question should be why. Can I?
No, let's go ahead. Sorry, let's go ahead.
Okay. What is the motive? What is the motive of the president for taking this decision? Is it to promote the quality of justice and to guarantee the independence of the judiciary? But that is why he's taking this decision. Or is it for politics' sake? And I think if it's the latter, then it will not inure to our benefits. It should be to ensure that at the end of the day, the independence of the judiciary is strengthened and that quality of justice delivered cannot be faulted. And it will ultimately lead to consolidation of our democracy. To me, that is the benchmark that's based on which we should review or discuss issues around the Article 146 and the current attempts to bring the Chief Justice before the committee and to determine if she merits continued stay in office or not.
You mentioned that right from the outset, the framers of the Constitution, by placing the removal and the appointment and removal of Chief Justice or members of the judiciary under the presidency or the executive, compromise the judiciary. Where should it have been placed? The compromise the independence of the judiciary. Where do you think it should have been placed?
Well, I think, as you know, the Chief Justice is the head of the judicial service, both in administrative sense and also the other judges when it comes to appointments. What do you call it? Selecting judges to sit on cases and so many other issues. And so, as a proverb in our local language goes, if you cut the head of the snake, the rest is rope. And so it is quite ironic that the process of appointing the Chief Justice is loose, is weaker than the appointment of other justices, because the president can, sit in a corner and appoint a Chief Justice. And then the same way, some petitions are received, and then he says, Council of State determine the prima facie case without hearing from the Chief Justice. So the framers weakened that position so that the Chief Justice, even before his or her appointment, is made subservient to the executive. And so he or she becomes pliable and manipulable by the executive. We thank God that we haven't seen so much erosion of the independence of the judiciary, because there have been certain traditions and practices which over time have held sway to make sure that the judiciary is as independent as possible. But right from the reading of the Constitution, that balance has not been there. So there's some kind of asymmetrical power relations where the executive is given extra powers, as Professor Prempeh would say, imperial powers under the Constitution, which therefore, if you don't have a strong Chief Justice who would want to stand his or her ground, then the judiciary can crumble. And so that's why we see a number of challenges with the judiciary, issues of corruption and others, which we always talk about. Surveys indicate that the majority, a large number of Ghanaians don't have trust in the judicial service and so on. It's all connected to this. So I think that is where I would say that the judiciary's independence is compromised. And I think the Constitution Review Committee, some of the proposals received that we have submitted to them, I'm sure I mean, based on the interactions we had, they agree with some of these gaps. And so going forward, I'm sure, subject to the president accepting the recommendations and implementing them, it will help to, bridge some of these gaps and make the judiciary stronger and more independent going forward. But as I say, as it is now, you cannot really fault what the president has done, because what he is doing is under the dictates of the Constitution. However, he should be guided by the motive for doing that. Is it for the good of the judiciary, for our democracy, and for the good of the country as a whole, or just a political motivation to justify or to satisfy only a particular part of the country, that is maybe his political party? That would not definitely help us.
Very well. This is the big issue on 97.3 City FM and on Channel 1 television. My guest, Professor Kojo Appiah, Professor of Law at the University of Ghana, who just made a submission. Abraham Maliba, Executive Director of the National Road Safety Authority. The Honorable Andy Appiah could be former MP Asante Akim North and a private legal practitioner, looking at the subject of the CJ suspension, trying to analyze the key issues there. Amaliba, you had a quick question for me.
I was going to ask Prof. In this matter that we've just discussed, you have two of your students here. Which of them will you give a higher mark?
No, Prof, I'll protect you. Don't put Prof through that.
You want to put me on the spot. I will tell you
later.
It will be in camera. The marking and the results will be in camera.
When he offers me a position on his board, then you give them credit.
A few of the messages that have come through. This one from Harry says, I'm really enjoying Professor's submissions. This one from Kofi in Tema says the education on the program is top-notch. This one from Prince Henry in Koforidua says, good morning. Selorm is a CJ above the laws of Ghana. The Chief Justice is the cause of her own problem and should be allowed to carry her own cross. The law is the law, and so shall it be. The more the MPP defends the CJ, the more her case becomes bad. All right, so now let's look at the reactions. I mean, a number of reactions have come through. Prof, I'll start off with you again. The GBA has spoken. The MPP has spoken. These are the two key bodies that have expressed views on the matter. People have criticized the GBA that their position is not even clear, that where it seems that the judiciary is under attack, the GBA has been insular, has been, lacks moral clarity in condemning what has been happening. What is your view on the GBA statement, if you have seen that?
Yes, I've seen the GBA statement, and from my own perspective, I think that it's a good statement. It identifies the fact that there are some gaps in the Constitution, as we have rightly pointed out. But at the end of the day, it talks about whether the motivation, again, as I also said, whether it is in the name of politics or in the name of justice. And I think that they end up by talking about using the rule of law to deal with the matter at stake. And I think that is a proper position for the GBA to take. I think it also makes reference to the fact that the matter is sub judice, and so commentary on it should be limited to a way as not to maybe compromise the work of the committee. And I think that is very, very important because and it connects with what the NPP's reaction has been. And I'm sure it's likely that if you pit the two reactions, it will be as if it's the NPP that is criticizing the position of the GBA, because they see that, as far as I can read it, they decided not to take a position. And I think that is the right way to go. And so as it stands, I think they have taken a decision that is fair and it shows no bias. And it's not to say that they are not interested in the quality of the judiciary and the independence of the judiciary. I think they state it in the statement, but it's about letting the process go, and then we see the outcome of it, and we avoid some of the reactions and doom, a prophecy of doom and so on, that investors will not come into the country, blah, 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 and so on. I think that is going a little bit too far. So we should hold our horse and let the process go on as it has started. And let's hope that the rule of law, the spirit of the law will be applied to find a solution to this impasse.
How about people who say that because of comments that have been made in the past by the president's party functionaries, etc., and what we are seeing play out, the GBA could have referenced some of those and raised concerns that they hope that what was said in the past is not what is playing out, just to caution the system, as it were? Should they have done that?
Well, again, I don't think so. I think that is where there will be meddling politics into the law or the legal process. The NDC has said some statements. I mean, members of the NDC have made some statements which I think are regrettable, and it comes into the realm of politicization, which I have condemned. And the MPP is also doing the same thing. Both of them are the extreme ends. And I think there should be a middle ground where we allow civility to prevail, and we try to take politics out of it as much as possible. So this is a legal issue. Of course, like I said earlier, you cannot divorce politics from law, but there is a limit to which it can be acceptable and agreeable. That's why even in the judicial process, there are some issues that we say it is a political question. Okay, so the bottom line is that some NDC members may have said should not be used, or I'm not sure the committee is going to use that to allow it to be influenced by these statements, to look at the petition and to decide it one way or the other. I think it's about the legal processes followed, because at the end of the day, it is not about equalization. It's not political equalization. It's about the decision should be based on the importance of ensuring that the quality of justice is guaranteed. At this stage, it's at a low ebb, and there's something that needs to be done to make sure that we prop up that respect for the rule of law, and we give the judiciary the independence it needs to be able to do its work in such a way as to check on any overreach by the executive and parliament, so that it will consolidate our democracy and our democratic credentials will be top-notch. I think that should be the overarching goal that every Ghanaian should look at.
Very well. The Honorable and Apiakubi, of course, there's a message here happy with. You say, hello, I'm Dakun from Amasamai. Lawyer Apiakubi is one strong man who has always given us the reason to put Ghana first. I really like that man. Somebody praising you for
Thank
what
you very much for those.
Yeah, but the MPP has also been speaking. They want the CJ reinstated. And they're saying that they are organizing a demonstration, galvanizing other political parties to stage a demonstration to protest, to push home their point that the CJ must be reinstated, and what is happening is partisan and very political, and it cannot be right. What do you make of this?
Well, in any case, every citizen has a right constitutionally granted to demonstrate. And let me take the opportunity to commend Dr. Ayeni, the Attorney General. I read a piece from him yesterday. I think some of the members of his team had wanted to go to court to injunct the organizers of the demonstration. And he came out yesterday to say that demonstration is a constitutional right of citizens. So he sees no reason why they must be restrained from doing so. And I want to commend him because that's a good one. And yes, they are organizing the demonstration. I'll join because
you will join?
Yes, I will do. Because I also think seriously that we must bring stability in the judicial system. And if this one goes, what is the possibility or probability that the next person who comes will not also be confronted with petitions? And trust me, this will disturb the judicial system going forward. And the Chief Justice that comes will probably receive some petitions challenging their continuous stay. So we don't have to set up this bad precedent. And I think that it may be better. My good brother was saying that some people were infringed the law and they should have been given a reprieve and a correction. I very much agree with him that if it is not this grievous and we think that we can correct, why not? And in any case, my position is also that because my good friend did something bad, I should also do the same thing. We must grow from whatever position. And indeed, when this case of people crossing the carpet, I came out openly to criticize what Professor Okoye did in 2020. I criticized him.
When you criticized in 2020 or
no,
after?
I criticized in 2020, I criticized in 2024. Because I thought that that interpretation Professor Okoye put was wrong. And I had even advised then lawyer Sema that I should go to court for him, except that he didn't want to go. And in this last one, I made a statement.
So you should go to court for him. On the lighter side, that would be touting or soliciting. Would that not be soliciting?
No, he's my colleague lawyer. So I told him to go to court if he won't go. And I offered that I would do a pro bono job for him. And in this last one, you remember when Speaker Babin said that he was following the interpretation of Professor Okoye. I came out to say that he is right in following precedent. But the interpretation is wrong. So I would have thought that it was an opportunity to change and correct all of us. So we will continue to make mistakes. But are we going to make the mistakes legacies that we cannot depart from? I think that when you openly see your brother have made a mistake and you have opportunity to correct him, it is never too late to correct. So I don't subscribe to his thinking that because so-and-so person did it yesterday, it is justified that I also do same. No. Let's grow from here. And in so doing, then you will also establish a legacy. Say, my good friend Maliba did it this way. I think that he didn't do it well. Given this opportunity, I will correct my brother and do it that way so that we can move on as a country. But if we are going to pay each other with bad coins, we will continue to be seen to be spending bad coins all the time. Anything that is wrong yesterday will still be wrong today. But if it was wrong yesterday, there is no reason why.
I get the point you're making, and it's a very nationalistic point you're making. But the problem of what people think is that that position sometimes lacks principle and it is hypocritical.
Today.
Yes.
So, for example, criticized even
not in your specific case, but generally people from your tradition who argue similarly, that when you were in a position to correct something, you did what you wanted, and now that you're on the other side, you are crying that what you did was wrong. So people should not repeat that.
My brother will tell you.
Not in your specific case.
When we're enacting the ROPA, although by President Kufuor, we were there in law school, my brother, and I was given the opportunity to address the students, law students, myself and Haruna, who were the speakers on the occasion. I criticized the ROPA. I said, without the trigger of Article 45, where the EC would present us with a constitutional instrument, no matter what law, it won't have effect. So it was a waste of everybody's time and money. I said that, and he will bear me out. And lo and behold, even as up now, ROPA is only in the statute books and resting, not effective. So in carrying my legal head, my legal cap, I don't bring politics into it because you cannot wear the two caps at the same time. So sometimes what I do when I think that I've read something I want to share, I share it without any reason to be hypocritical. No. But when you are on a political platform, that's a different matter. But when we are discussing matters of law, I think that, because as we even speak now, there are people listening to us. Some of them are students. So it's important that even on your platform, we provide an opportunity for people to learn also. My brother and myself, today we've gone back to Legon campus.
Yes.
So the argument started from Legon.
Professor.
No, the argument started from Legon. He will tell you. We never agreed because he was from Banda City.
Oh, I see.
And I was from Akwafu Hall.
Oh, okay.
He didn't understand why Akwafu Hall students should become SRC president. And he started impeachment 2 days after I was elected.
Oh, he did?
No,
he started the process to impeach you?
To impeach me.
But he did succeed?
Less than 1 week that
I see, he belongs to the
talk about
the Downrocha period. He has no place in the current MPP, and that's why they took him off.
We are talking impeachment
and then removed him as a member of parliament. But
so the MPP is organizing a demonstration.
I invite him to join us.
But you see, what do you expect of an attorney general who is a human rights lawyer? So this is not new as compared to
an attorney general who is a human rights lawyer.
Dominic Ayeni. Yeah, as compared to the previous attorney general who was so hawkish.
Please.
So this is not new because even in opposition, he kept talking about the right to demonstrate. So I'm not surprised he's written that letter. But it is their right to demonstrate, and that's why I said that they were engaged in.
But I have extended invitation to you also.
To join the demonstration?
Yes.
They are engaged in all
you
manner
provide
of
road
things.
safety.
No, yes.
You ensure that
you should come
on
at
the
least.
road.
Yes.
At least for nothing at all, provide us with safety.
Yes.
So they can engage in all the demonstrations they want to do, but the process will still go on. I don't think that what they are going to do will stop the president from following the constitution. I'm excited that so far the president has not breached any of the provisions. So this their demonstration, I don't know what it is calling for, but it will be an exercise in futility because the president will not go beyond his bounds to do things that are unacceptable. But it is their right to demonstrate. When we're in opposition, we also demonstrated. So I think that they can go ahead.
I think people want to know, is this the end of the road for the CJ? Is she coming back?
No, I have said on another platform that if she's able to exonerate herself, she will be made to come back. So it depends on, have they started sitting? I don't know.
No, they've not started.
So it depends on the kinds of evidence that she is going to go to the committee with, which will exonerate her or she will fail at that level. If she is able to exonerate herself, she will come back as chief CJ. So we shouldn't jump the gun. Those who are celebrating should hold their horses and wait till the final determination of the matter. Then we'll know. But I cannot sit here and say that's the end of the CJ. No.
I see. Yes, so the committee has been set, chaired by Justice Gabriel Poaman, Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Samuel Kwame Adibu-Asiedu, Justice of the Supreme Court, Daniel Yadomelevo, former Attorney General, Major Flora Baswanura Dalugo of the Armed Forces, Professor James Sefa-Jisa, Associate Professor of the University of Ghana. These are the persons that make up the committee that will be dealing with the matter. The CJ will appear before them with her lawyer or just herself or whoever she thinks will be useful in the process. And then this committee will determine whether the allegations raised actually have basis. And based on their recommendations, we'll see what happens next. But, Prof, before you go, I mean, just deal with this for me. Okay, so I don't have Prof now. Maybe Andy, deal with this for me.
Yeah.
Justice Samuel Esiedu is on the panel that is looking at the substantive case at the Supreme Court. Here he is appointed again also as part of this 5-member committee. What's going on there?
Yeah, 2 roles, separate, mutually exclusive. And the fact that you are a judge of the Supreme Court will not impede your work in another committee formed under the same constitution. So I think that there's nothing wrong. In his capacity as Supreme Court judge, he will discharge his duties pursuant to the rules of court. You see, whatever forum you find yourself, you are guided by the rules. So in a Supreme Court situation, CI 16 is the guide. In this particular circumstance, the Constitution provides you with a lead. So I see no conflict of opinion here or expected conflict of performance. No. Once he has time to do this at a different time and do that at a different time, I don't see anything wrong with it.
I see. Senior lawyer Chris Akume sent in a message. He said, I'm surprised by the unnecessary furore over the suspension of the CJ. The suspension is provided for by the Constitution. It is not an act of the President without constitutional backing. The Constitution, by the word may, gives him the power to suspend or not. Either the suspension or non-suspension is constitutional. GBA, FIDA, MPP, and others opposing the suspicion are simply interfering in the enforcement of the provision of the Constitution as it relates to Article 146. Let all and sundry who believe in the Constitution refrain from being anti-constitutional. So that's from lawyer Chris.
Yes, good old Chris. I expected that. It is not uncommon.
I see. And people think that the president could have allowed the CJ to remain in office while the process goes on. Why did he exercise his discretion
it depends on
to make her go or to suspend her?
It depends on the gravity of the establishment of prima facie evidence or the establishment of the prima facie case. We are not privy to what they establish. Apart from that, don't also forget that if we allow her to continue to be there, she will be playing the role of both an administrator and a judge. Will she have the presence of mind? Nobody should think that the CJ is not affected by what is happening. We are all humans. But will she have the presence of mind to administer the judiciary? Why don't you ask her to step aside so that she can concentrate fully in defending herself than letting her, have... So you are looking for your CJ and they say she's at the committee. You are looking for the CJ, she's meeting her lawyers. What kind of CJ is that? So I think it's even in her own interest to, if she wasn't even asked to step aside, I'm sure she would have herself asked the second in command to deal with other matters so that she can concentrate on, as it were, dealing with the matter. Apart from that, it is discretionary. So the president could choose to say stay, or the president could choose to say leave. So again, here, the president has not breached any law, again. So I don't think we should make a fuss out of it.
I see. Deal with this also for me.
Yes.
Maybe you. The removal is in respect of the Chief Justice. But she said Justice of the Supreme Court first. Does this affect her being a judge at the Supreme Court? Or once the matter is done and the committee finds that she's liable, she loses everything, she no more remains a Supreme Court judge?
Well, per the terms of the petition, it is her position as Chief Justice, that is under attack.
So if she's removed, she can still remain as a Justice of the Supreme Court?
So nobody is challenging her position as a judge of the Supreme Court. I haven't read from anywhere if there is any attack on her position as Supreme Court judge. So if we keep it at that, then it is her leadership of the court that is under attack. But be it as we see always, if if it happens that she is removed as Chief Justice, I think that she may want to also consider maybe resigning from the bench. It will probably follow, because it followed in the case of Akukosa. So I would expect that she will do so. But from my understanding, the complaint is about her position as Chief Justice, because most of the petitions are attacking her administrative function as a Chief Justice, not as a judge of the Supreme Court. And in any case, if it is the judge as a Supreme Court, then she's not the only one.
There's no one, yes.
In all cases, about 5 or so, 4
or more,
4 or 6 persons are with her in making these decisions. So if we are doing that, then it means that all of them must also go.
I think I hold a contrary view. She will go as both Chief Justice and a judge. I cannot foresee her, even if it is not the case, accepting to become an ordinary.
So that's accepting. But assuming, let's say she accepts to remain on the bench.
No.
What would that be?
She will go as
by law or by
it's a grey area which has not been provided for in the Constitution. But
if you are removing as a Supreme Court judge, the procedure may be different from what we are employing. What we are employing is in the
reason why we are
Chief Justice.
We are dealing with her as a Chief Justice, which will also include, because even now there's no difference between what has happened in this process. There's no difference between the Chief Justice and the ordinary Supreme Court judge.
They don't have administrative duties.
No. What I'm saying is that the procedure has followed. The only difference was that you couldn't give the petition
to herself
to
determine.
But that has been broken by what the president did, by giving her 10 days. So in effect, we are marrying her position with that of the ordinary judge, which procedure has been merged. It's now the same.
No, because the procedure being merged, even the determination of the prima facie, the determination of the prima facie, if it's just a Superior Court judge, it is the Chief Justice that does it.
Yes, but because she's the center of attraction, she cannot
so
be
the procedure then is different.
They must invoke that procedure.
She couldn't
challenge her membership of the Supreme Court. Differently. But this is
as far as it is the removal of the
area. I think that if she's removed, she'll go both as Chief Justice.
But that will be on her choice. She can exercise
the right of resignation.
All right. Interesting. I mean, this is the big issue, 97.3 City FM. Also on Channel 1 Television and on all our socials. My name is Selorm Adonoo. My guest on this matter, the Honorable Andy Appiah Kubi, former Member of Parliament for Asante Akim, legal practitioner. Professor Kojo Appiah, you heard him earlier, Professor of Law at the University of Ghana School of Law. And Abraham Amaliba, Director General of the National Road Safety Authority and Director for the NDC's Conflict Resolution Committee. I will take a short break. When we return, we'll go to Tamale to deal with the happenings that led to some strike, later, suspended, and what we could have done better, whether we did things better, or, we just look at the issues generally. This is a big issue. Don't go away.
Introducing Betway's Bet Influencer, a groundbreaking feature where you can make money by just sharing codes. He just needs to share his codes and make money. The more his codes are used, the more money he makes. Oh yes, so what are you waiting for? Anyone can be a bet influencer. Share your codes and make money. Bet Influencer, another world first from Betway.
This advert has been approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Betway, get way more.
Looking for the latest buzz in Ghana's entertainment world? Welcome to Ghana Weekend, your ultimate destination for all things creativity and entertainment.
Stay in the loop with breaking news, exclusive interviews, and then insider stories from your favorite creatives and stars. From music, movies, fashion and art, lifestyle and culture, Ghana Weekend brings it all together. Get a daily dose of entertainment, discover new talents, and never miss out on the creativity that defines our vibrant culture.
Stay connected with us across all platforms. Follow us on Instagram with the handle Ghana Weekend, on X Ghana Weekend, on TikTok Ghana Weekend, at Ghana Weekend TV on YouTube for the latest in entertainment, travel, and everything Ghana. Don't miss out. Join the Ghana Weekend family today. Ghana Weekend, where entertainment meets creativity. Visit GhanaWeekend.com now.
This year, take the first step towards a deeper connection with God and one another. Join us for the Family Consecration Service, a powerful journey of faith, love, and renewal. In 2025, we are called to consecrate our homes, our hearts, and our lives.
The Lord is protecting you with His favor this morning in the name of Jesus. May the Lord favor your going out. May the Lord favor your coming in.
To dedicate ourselves and our families to the path of faith, grace, and unity. Through prayer and reflection and a shared devotion, the Family Consecration Service 2025 brings families closer together, strengthens bonds, and invites God's presence into every corner of our homes. It's on Thursday, 1st of May 2025 from 6 a.m. to 12 noon. The venue is the Oil Dome, Royal House Chapel International, Accra. There will be renewal of vows for married couples.
On this occasion, I'm asking you to forgive me for all the hits and pain I have caused you.
Join countless families around the world as we come together to consecrate our lives in the spirit of love and faith. A consecration for today and for generations to come. Make this year a new beginning. Family Consecration Service 2025 for the love of God and the love of family. Join us this year. Together, let's consecrate our families and our hearts. This April, 97.3 City FM invites you to join us for a powerful journey of faith, reflection, and connection in our seasons of prayer. As we step into this season of renewal, we bring you a month-long special encounter that will uplift your spirit and strengthen your soul. Whether you're seeking peace, guidance, or simply a deeper connection in faith, this is the perfect opportunity to come together in prayer and find inspiration in the midst of daily life issues. It's time to reflect, refuel, and reconnect. So, mark your calendars, gather your loved ones, and be part of something truly reviving. Seasons of Prayer is on 97.3 City FM this April. Stay tuned and let's pray together for brighter days ahead. It's from the 1st to the 30th of April 2025. Tune in to Midnight Cry from 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. This is your day from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. and Prayer Encounter from 12 noon to 1 p.m. Call 0244-981112 for more information. Let the power of prayer guide you this season. Seasons of Prayer is powered by 97.3 City FM.
You're welcome back. This is the big issue on 97.3 City FM. Just gone by a discussion on the CJ. Lawyer Chris Akume sent a follow-up on the matter whether the CJ remains on the Supreme Court even if she's removed in the end. She says if she is removed as CJ, she remains as a Supreme Court judge, but may be taken out as a Supreme Court judge based on a fresh action, citing grounds relative to removal of Supreme Court justices. That's Lawyer Chris Akume's contribution on that one. You can send your comments also to us on the numbers displayed on your screen, and we'll be happy to read them out to the rest of the world. Now, to the Tamale Teaching Hospital. This week, doctors at the Tamale Teaching Hospital embarked on a strike because they feel they were attacked by the minister in how the minister appeared at the hospital and the interaction with them. They didn't find it perhaps respectful of their professional background and the effort they seem to, or they claim they've been putting into their work in the face of difficulties. I mean, shortage of consumables, lack of equipment, etc. So the minister, upon some social media uproar on the death of a 31-year-old man that people think was medical negligence, went to the hospital unannounced with media. And when he got there, he was seeking to interact with people to understand what was happening, to see what could be done. It got to a point, the discussion degenerated somewhat. So the head of the accident and emergency unit and himself were found in a heated argument. People thought the doctor shouldn't have been speaking that way. Others also thought, no, he was the one in the middle of it, so he had the right to respond in that way. The Doctors Association of the hospital felt that their colleague had been attacked or disrespected in the full glare of the public. And so they laid down their tools and laid out some conditions that the minister should provide them with all equipment and consumables they need to work before they will return, and that the minister should also render an unqualified apology to them. The YANA yesterday intervened, and they are back to work, at least for emergency cases. Now, this is an interesting one. The minister has a duty to ensure there's public confidence in the health system, to also ensure that people feel that some authority has their back. The doctors also have a part to play in this. They also feel that they were giving up their best in the face of challenges, lack of facilities, lack of consumables, etc. To the extent that sometimes they have to use their money to buy water to use at the hospital because of the water problem in the Tamale metropolis. Now the patient too, the patient died. The family is grieving. The family thought that things could have been done better. All three facets of this discussion, or of this matter, appear to have some good grounds. But why has the matter degenerated this much? What happened? What could have been done better? That is what we have now. So the striking doctors have resumed their emergency services following the visit of a delegation from the overlord of Dagbon, Yana Abubakari Muhammad II, who appealed for calm and a return to duty. However, outpatient services, including OPD and specialist consultation, remain suspended, leaving many patients without medical care. Our Northern Regional Correspondent, Shawana Yusuf, reports.
The minister's unannounced visit to the Tamale Teaching Hospital came in the wake of mounting public outreach and various social media reports accusing hospital staff of negligence that allegedly led to a patient's death. What was meant to be a fact-finding mission quickly escalated into a tense exchange between the health minister and the head of the emergency department.
You are behaving in front of me. So you can imagine how.
I'm trying to explain.
You can imagine how.
I'm trying to be
with this attitude even to your superiors, can you imagine how you deal with common people? And that's why that creates the problem. That's what will create the problem.
Shortly after the visit, the hospital's CEO, Dr. Adam Atiku, was dismissed. Among those reacting is the Doctors Association of Tamale Teaching Hospital. The association condemned what it calls a misrepresentation of the facts. The Ghana Medical Association has also waded in, labeling the dismissal as an abuse of power and a clear violation of due process. They have called for an unqualified apology from the health minister.
We feel and we acknowledge the fact that the minister and the government, any government for that matter, has the power to appoint and dismiss any appointee for that matter. However, we feel that the due process should be done, especially when most media have reported that the person is being sacked on the back of the negligence and certain issues in the facility. How the consultant was treated was totally uncalled for. There's no such conclusion to be made, that the fact that he's trying to explain, and if you watch the video carefully, the man was calm and tried to explain himself. And then the minister, accompanied by the MP, was then shouting at him, pointing fingers and other things. And I think that is unfair.
As tensions simmer, all eyes are now on the 3-member committee set up by the Ministry of Health to investigate the circumstances surrounding the patient's death and systematic issues at the facility. Meanwhile, President John Dramani Mahama has appointed Dr. Abubakar Bawa Abdullahi, a senior academic at the University of Development Studies, as the new CEO of the Tamale Teaching Hospital.
The minister's visit aimed to gain first-hand insight into the challenges health professionals face in the northern region, beginning with the Tamale Teaching Hospital, the region's main referral facility. Although the hospital has already launched internal investigations into the incident, the minister announced the formation of an independent 3-member committee to thoroughly probe the circumstances surrounding the patient's death.
You are behaving in front of me. So you can imagine how I'm trying to explain. You can imagine how I'm trying to be I mean, with this attitude even to your superior, can you imagine how you deal with common people? And that's why that creates the problem. That's what will create the problem.
Speaking to the media, he extended his condolences to the bereaved family.
My surprise visit coincidentally met the unfortunate demise of, what's the gentleman's name? Salim. My condolences to the family. I have inquired from the CEO and other health professionals here. We are setting up a 3-member committee. I'm told that the facility has already taken steps to investigate the matter, but unfortunately they cannot investigate themselves. And therefore, I'm taking the matter up.
Health professionals at the facility voiced their frustrations over the inadequate medical equipment critical for both emergency and routine services.
When the people turn up at the various facilities, the relatives, the patients, they see you doing your best. Even if at the end of the day, they lose it, they understand that you have done your best. I'll beg of everybody, all the health professionals in this country.
He also decried the poor maintenance culture plaguing many public institutions, noting that it significantly hampers service delivery across the country. As part of a broader solution, the minister revealed plans to implement a new policy mandating that internally generated funds, IGF, be allocated towards equipment maintenance and infrastructure expansion in health facilities.
There will be a new government policy directive where a special escrow account will be created for all our equipment, so that we will use that particular fund to replace or to maintain our equipment.
Even the minister, me, look at the way you are behaving in front of me. So you can imagine how I'm trying to explain. You can imagine how I'm trying to be how can you behave like this? So it means that you're doing worse things here. It means that you're doing worse things here.
Boss, please. Honorable, please.
I mean, even with your superiors, look at how you are arguing. There's a problem here. So if a commoner comes here, can you imagine what he will do? How can somebody talk to this man here? How will he be able to communicate with people here? How will he deal with it? There's a problem.
Well, so that was these are videos of happenings at the Tamale Teaching Hospital. The chief executive, subsequent to this, was relieved of his post. They say it was not due to this incident, but it was a discussion they were having long before this. The timing perhaps was the problem, but that's what they tell us, that it wasn't connected in any way. You can make your judgment. The gentleman in question, as far as we know, nothing has happened to him. The accident and emergency unit head, Dr. Valentine, so nothing has happened to him. But let me start off with you, Honorable Piakubi. This is a minister who appears to want to get things moving a certain way. And so he heard of the death of somebody uproar on social media all over the place. Now he moves straight to the place to find out for himself what it is. The things have since degenerated or gotten out of hand. What's your thinking around how he went to the place and the matters that came therefrom?
Well, if it was not something that he wanted to do and it happened.
And the matters that came therefrom?
Well, if it was not when the situation by going there, then let me commend him at least for the dedication to duty. He went there to see what could be done probably better to save the situation. But unfortunately, the approach when he got there probably resulted in the confusion. And I think that Minister could also have done better by way of calling the health professionals into a meeting outside the full glare of the public. So, but again, we have to also accept the fact that he is a very youthful minister and trying to learn his job on the run. So it was not the best that we expected for him to have confronted the health professionals in public. But I think that his response to the situation was commendable. I'm sure that going forward, you also pick some lessons from what happened and begin to be more professional in his approach to some of these things. He needed to be briefed as to the situation on the ground and what caused this before probably bringing out their positions and advice. So out of the blue, he got there, and I think he got so sentimental because of the death of the patient. But I think that, albeit the association, the medical association, and the minister, they must sit down and find the truth. Again, I don't think it is necessary just to fire the doctor, just also in the public or also in the media like that. It is improper. So I think we must let sleeping dogs lie and let the doctor come back to his post and continue. If there is anything that they need...
No, the doctor sacked is a chief executive of the hospital. He's a chief executive of the hospital.
It was premature for him to have...
So the discussion was ongoing before this incident?
The discussion to sack him was ongoing.
Yes, maybe they are resetting from the old regime.
You see, Honorable Akando is my very, very good friend. We share the same floor in Parliament. We are friends. I saw him the day he was going to Tamale. I was also at the airport. And he encountered some difficulty even checking in. And we had to bail him out to get out of there. I didn't know that he was going to cause that mischief. Otherwise, I would have advised him to stop. But if he went there to do what he did, then it was premeditated. So he went there to humiliate the doctor in public like that.
I mean, to be fair, the discussion started quite well. But I think sometime along the line, they began raising their voices.
But I didn't see the doctor raise his voice. He was trying to offer explanation as to why it has happened like that. And I'm sure subsequently also, he gave out the expectations of the institution, what they didn't have in their work and what they needed the minister to support also. So, you know, if he went there just to cause the dismissal of that doctor, then, like I'm saying, it was premeditated. In fact, when it happened and I came back, I was also going to Kumasi, and I came back the same day. So I realized that the mood in which he was, even traveling in the morning, suggests to me that he wanted to do what he was going to do what he did, because he was in a hurry. He was not stable. He appeared to be angry, and
because somebody had died, and it was all over the place on social media.
Is it the case that the person died when he was in Accra, or the person died when he was in Tamale?
The person died when he was in Tamale, the minister.
So then,
he was going there because of the uproar, the person had died. So he was going there as minister to see what happened.
Oh, is it the case that everybody who dies, a minister will have to follow?
But it's not every death that causes uproar. I mean, we have this once in a while.
You see,
you know.
I'm not a professional in the area, so, but again, my son is a medical doctor. I know what they go through. Sometimes we come home and they cannot even sleep. You understand? So you also have to understand them. Sometimes they have a lot of frustration. He comes home and he's also not stable. You understand? So you have to understand every job has its own frustrations. So it is important that as a minister, he should also have been a bit more decorous in handling the situation. I'm not sure he himself, looking at it a second time, will appreciate what happened and, you know, want to defend it. It was in bad taste. Whatever the situation, as a minister of state, you get there, you should have found a better way of handling the situation.
I see. Honorable Amaliba, I mean.
I think let cool heads prevail. I know Akando well, and he also knows him. He's a very respectful person, I know. I know that for a fact. But in the heat of the moment, some of these things do happen. We all find ourselves in such a situation. I think both Akando and the doctor.
So why would you not give him his title and you call him Akando and you call doctor something?
We at first, we call each other first name. So the minister, both the minister and the doctor had one common interest, but the approach didn't go well. I think that where the minister flared up was when I think the doctor made a comment to the effect that this is overblown, or it is going to be, I don't know, he captured something like that.
Yes. He said it's been blown out of proportion.
I didn't see it here. And that is where Akando said, people have died and you are saying blown out of proportion? So that was the departure point. What I think is that now that there are some days having passed, I'm sure cool heads will prevail now. I didn't support the doctor's strike when they said that he must apologize before they come to work. I don't think I equate human life.
Did you support the removal?
I'm making my submissions. So I didn't support their strike when they said that he must apologize before they go back, because I think that they can't equate apology to human life, particularly where the strike took place. Emergency ward. The name emergency will tell you there is not a child's play to be there. And don't also forget that is where the death took place, the same place. And you are now withdrawing services. So more should die. On the issue of, and he talked about it, he thought I'm not going to mention it. On the issue of the removal of CEO, why? Who doesn't know that we are in an era where CEOs are being changed? So it would have gotten to him.
The timing.
It would have still gotten to him.
But the timing of it.
But if you have a slap, you don't take it now. You take it now better than the next time.
So
if a slap is coming.
Is it a case that
you
knew that
now?
This one, the circumstances
appeared
as if he had a
So are you saying